Smart Package Studio is smart because we know the world of software packaging from the inside. Fast because you save up to 40% time on software packaging. Intelligent because it uses machine learning to create the best solutions. Time-saving because we are stronger together. Download your trial today.
Hi, and welcome to Smart Package Studio, introducing a smarter way to package software. Thank you for taking the time to be here. My name is Christine. I'm the sales manager of the Nordics, and your go-to girl if you have any questions or comments after this session. If you have any questions during the walkthrough, you can write it in the chat, and we will answer it at the end. When I say we, I mean Ronnie and Magnus, who has 20 years experience with MSI packaging. They are also the developers behind Smart Package Studio. I will let them do their thing now, and if you miss out on anything, we will upload this session to YouTube so you can watch our pretty faces later on. Right?
Yeah. I just want to give you a brief introduction to the Smart Package Studio and why we developed it. We have a sister company, Mansoft, who are doing approximately 7,000 packages a year. And we've been using Vice Package Studio and InstallSheet Admin Studio for years. But we really missed that smartness and things that could make better quality packages and lower our time to deliver the packages to the customers. So we did a lot of small changes in the packaging structure. We developed machine learning for doing better captures, cleaning up projects. We have made analysis for way of better getting quality control into your packages and making sure that you deliver what you decided to do. If you don't want shortcuts on the desktop, you can set that up to be automatically removed. And a lot of other nice things in the product. So instead of me talking, I think you should look at the product. So we'll transfer the control to Magnus.
Now, let me just give a very quick overview. There are three main components to Smart Package Studio. We have Smart Editor, Smart Capture, and Smart Tester. Smart Editor is the primary packaging edit application, and this is what you will usually be working in. I have a few things I would like to demonstrate today. First, I will start with creating a very simple package from scratch that contains a file and a shortcut, just to give you an idea of the very basic procedure. So as you can see, we have started up Smart Package Studio, Smart Editor, and we have options to open recent projects, and we have options to create a new MSI project, create a new transform, or create an Intune Win package. For this demonstration, we will create an MSI project. Then it's a matter of giving it a name, and we're brought to the main screen of the product. I will talk a little bit more in detail about this a little later in the demonstration, but for now, we'll simply go to Files, and we will add a single little test file we have here. Once we've added our file, we'll go and add a shortcut to the file we just added here. You will see it automatically pulls out the name and the icon and so on for the application. Now, since we're dealing with a very simple package here, this is really it. Now we can go save our project. We'll just create a folder for it here. And then we select compile. And now we have an MSI package. It's that simple. Also notice how small the MSI package is, only 100 kilobytes. We do our best to create very clean MSI packages that only contain the tables and rows necessary for the product to function. So we try to really optimize the size and the installation speed of the packages created. Now I would like to demonstrate how to test the package, because we have a package that is theoretically ready for deployment, but of course we want to test it to ensure it works correctly. Now for that, if we press test here, it will open the package in Smart Tester. And this is our application for testing packages using virtual machines. I will go a little bit more into detail about Smart Tester in a bit, but for now I will simply execute the package we have just created. This will start up a selected virtual machine and install the package. So you can see it's going through the procedure here. And in the background takes care of everything, copying the file into the virtual machine and executing it and so on. And now we can see here that our shortcut has appeared and our little eyes program is working correctly. So this is to show how quickly you can create a package from scratch and test it using Smart Package Studio. But of course, creating packages from scratch is only a part. A large part of repackaging is, of course, capturing existing executable installers to MSI packages. And here we have our Smart Capture. This is the entry point for whenever you need to do a repackage of an executable installer or something equivalent. Here we have a few options, the main one being where we want to capture from. Now, those of you familiar with capturing, you will know that generally you install the capture program on the machine where you want to create the capture, and that's still possible here, capturing from the local machine. But what is the most relevant is to use the virtual machine integration that we have. And that enables you to use any number of virtual machines to capture from. Of course, there's a lot of benefits here. The main one is time saved. You don't have to manually copy in things to the virtual machine and execute them and so on. If we continue, we're presented with a list of virtual machine snapshots that we have already added. And for this, we support all the major hypervisors. We support Oracle VirtualBox, we support VMware Workstation, we support Microsoft Hyper-V, and we also support Windows Sandbox. Those of you familiar with Windows Sandbox will know it's a kind of pseudo virtual machine introduced in newer versions of Windows 10. It's not quite as fully functional as traditional virtual machines, but the benefit is that it does not require any setup to use. It's simply a Windows feature to be enabled. Furthermore, it doesn't require any additional licenses. And if you use Windows Sandbox with Smart Package Studio, you're able to get started very quickly without having to spend time setting up a virtual machine. For this demonstration, however, I'll be using a VirtualBox VM. Here we select which snapshot we would like to use for the capture generation, and we then continue on. A few interesting and helpful things we have here is, if you notice, we have an option to reuse the snapshot. What this means is not talking about the virtual machine snapshot, but it's talking about the snapshots that we create in order to capture the changes performed by the package we are trying to install. So the way that the MSI packages are generated by the utility is that it compares a snapshot taken before and after you install the program you want to create a package from. Because we're dealing with virtual machines here, we can be sure that the state of the virtual machine is not going to change from one time to the next. And for that reason, we're able to reuse the first of the snapshots. This, in effect, removes half the time necessary to create the snapshots because it only needs to be done once. Then we have our online exclusion list. And just a very quick overview over what exclusions are. Again, when you capture, you are comparing these two snapshots of the virtual machine state. Inevitably, there will be things in this capture that you do not want to be a part of the package you're trying to create. This can be things such as antivirus or Windows running various services in the background, etc. You do not want this to be a part of your package because it's unnecessary. And all packaging products, they have an exclusion list stating that these files, these registry values should not be a part of the package. What we have changed is that we have brought this online, and that means we received anonymized data on what people exclude when they create the packages, and we use that with our algorithms to automatically generate lists of exclusions that are sent whenever you create a new capture. What this means is that the exclusion list is always up to date. So when Microsoft releases a new version of Windows 10 that introduces some new registry values that we don't want included when we create our captures, this is all handled automatically. That takes a lot of the manual work out of creating a package. So we continue here. The virtual machine we've selected is started up. And if necessary, the first snapshot is created. In this case, that is not necessary because we have chosen to save it. Now we can go and select what we would like to execute. Now this will be, again, automatically copied into the virtual machine and executed, so that we simply have to go through the installation procedure inside of the VM. Like any normal package here, you're able to select the options you would like. And then you could set up any settings or import registry values, whatever you would like. Anything performed in this step will be a part of the finished package. And of course here we could also, if the installer requires multiple steps, we can go in here and open other files and execute them too. But for now, we will just continue. Now it creates the second snapshot and compares the two to see what differences have been, what changes have been performed. And then it uses the online exclusions to determine which of these changes should be a part of the package we're trying to create. And this all happens automatically. We're then brought to the list of inclusions and excluded elements here. We can see that we have here the installation directory, and we have the start menu shortcuts and so on, the desktop shortcut. As well, we can view the registry, the captured registry information. However, notice that we're only showing the included items. So we're only displaying the items that the program believes should be a part of the package. If we select excluded instead, we will see a bunch of things that has been captured but has automatically been excluded from the package due to the online exclusion list. So you can see this is all stuff that using other software, you might have to manually maintain a list of these items. And of course, especially when dealing with different VMs and different versions of Windows, this will need to be updated on a continual basis. With Smart Package Studio, that work is automated so that you do not need to spend time on it. When we're done with the selecting, of course, here, if you believe there is an error in the automatic exclusions, you can choose to include an item that's been excluded. And you can also choose to exclude items that have been included. You know, in this case, we don't want an uninstall shortcut, so we will go ahead and exclude that. When we continue, we select if we want to create a new MSI project or if we want to add these captured changes to an existing package, which can sometimes be useful, but in general, we want to create a new project, as is the case here. We can see it's now extracted or attempt to extract the information from the package regarding the name, version, manufacturer, and so on. This is, of course, just a help. You know, of course, like any package, the product name, version, and so on is customizable. But this is another little thing we do in order to try to reduce the amount of time you have to spend manually entering this information. When we continue here, the files for the package are automatically copied out of the virtual machine, and the project directory is built. And since this is a small package, it is already done. We can now select to edit the package we have just created. We can also select that we are done with the VM, so we will just restore it to its snapshot. Here we brought back to Smart Editor and the main screen. Now we can see that there's a lot more elements to this package because it's an actual executable that we created a capture of. The next thing I would like to draw your attention to is this analysis overview. We have 8 compliant and we have 3 non-compliant. Now, what does that mean? Well, if we click through, it'll bring us to the analysis tab, and it'll show this list of items. And this is what we call package analysis. What this is an engine for setting up rules that a package needs to live up to in order to be compliant. Now, it comes with a standard set of rules that apply to a lot of most situations, but they can be fully customized. Those of you familiar with MSI packaging will know of the reboot and root drive properties, which, as you can see here, this package does not currently live up to. With analysis, you're able to set up rules specifying that certain properties need to have certain values, and including more advanced rules such as this one that has set to not allow shortcuts on the desktop. When you then open a package, and that can be a package you've created as a capture, or it can be an MSI package you've downloaded, it's simply a matter of going into the analysis, selecting the items that the package does not live up to, and automatically fix them. In this case, it will set the two properties that were missing, and it will delete the desktop shortcut. So what analysis enables you to do is very quickly ensure that all packages that you create or modify, create a transform file, live up to the standards set forth by your company. And again, this is removing manual work where typically you would have a checklist of things that need to be set and you want to go through it. Well, here that is reduced to a single click and possibly a verification that the items have been set correctly. And of course, the removal of this manual work also means less potential for mistakes, where if you have to manually set these items every time, once in a while you will get it wrong because we are all human. Here, where it's done automatically, the chance of that is reduced greatly. Now that we are satisfied with the modifications we've performed to the package, we can go ahead and save it, and you will see the shortcut disappears because the changes have been committed. And then we can select compile, which will build our final MSI package. And just like before, we can select test, and the MSI package is opened in Smart Tester. Now I'll just go a little bit more into detail about Smart Tester. You can see some basic information about the package we have opened here. And it's important to note that while you will typically be testing packages you have created, this is not, Smart Tester is not limited to doing that. Any MSI package, any exe file, any PowerShell script, anything you can execute, basically, you can open in Smart Tester and execute in a virtual machine. And this means that if you have downloaded some program, you want to see how it acts, you can open it in Smart Tester and execute it to check if it's something you're interested in or if it's malicious or something like that. We also have some options here for how to execute the package. You can see we can specify arguments for the package, which are simply command line arguments. We can also select if we want to execute it under the local system account. As you are probably aware, most deployment systems such as Microsoft SCCM Server will by default execute packages under the local system account. And in some cases for some packages that can create issues. For that reason, to have a test as close to the the real deployment as possible, we want to be able to test under the local system account. Here you can also set some, because we've opened an MSI package, set some MSI specific properties here. For instance, we can load in a transform and change the log mode and so on. The list of snapshots here is linked with the list of snapshots in Smart Capture. So again, this is simply a matter of choosing the one you want to use. Prerequisites enables you to add a list of any kind of executable that you want to have available as a prereg. And the benefit to this is that you do not need to maintain a huge number of virtual machine snapshots. Instead, you can simply have it selected here if you are testing a package that requires something that isn't installed in the virtual machine. Again, this is a way to save some time every time you need to execute something. Instead of having to manually install preregs before, then you can do it with a single click here. When we're ready, we've selected the options. We can go to the Execute tab and select Install. This is the same thing I did earlier with a shortcut F9, where you can simply open it and directly go to execute. You'll now see that it's installing the prerequisite that I selected from the list, and once that's completed, it'll be installing the package that we have opened. You can see it appears here. Now, Smart Tester will automatically pull the installation log files out of the virtual machine. So once the package is installed, we can click here and open the log file. So that makes it easier in case there's an issue to look through and see what the problem is, instead of having to go into the virtual machine, into the temporary folder, and pull out the installation log files from there. Now that the package is installed, we want to check that it works correctly. We can see the desktop shortcut isn't there because we removed it with our analysis rule. And if we go into the start menu, we can see that the program is installed. And here we can perform verification. The program works as we expect it to. Once, to help with the package debugging, we have these shortcut tasks. What this is that these are shortcuts that point into the virtual machine. They can be fully customized, and it comes with a list of standard shortcuts to begin with. The idea here is that instead of having to maintain a bunch of shortcuts like these inside of the virtual machine, inside of each virtual machine you want to use, instead you can have them all in Smart Tester to make it much easier to add something rather than having to go back and make changes to each VM. For the same reason, we have this possibility to go in and browse the file system of the virtual machine, copy files out of there, also browse the registry and export, and check what MSI packages are installed in the virtual machine. Once we're done with our installation, we of course want to run a test on installation as well. This is simply done by pressing uninstall instead of install. This will remove the package from the VM and verify that it has been uninstalled correctly. And again, once this has been performed, we can go and we can check standard things like, has the package removed all of its folders and registry values and so on. And once we're done, we can restore the VM. Now, those of you who have been working with packaging and virtual machines and so on will recognize that this automated workflow takes a lot of the manual work out of testing a package. Because usually there's a lot of steps involved in starting up the virtual machine, copying the folder with the package you want to test into the virtual machine, opening a command prompt and execute the correct script or installation command to install the package and so on. And Smart Tester attempts to remove as much of this manual work as possible to make your throughput higher when you're creating packages. And to give an example, the integration makes that it's easy to iterate with changes to a package. Say that we just ran our package test and we find out that we forgot to do something. We forgot to change the shortcut name to the standard. It should be this instead. So then we go ahead, we make the change, we save, we compile, we test, we press F9 because that executes the last snapshot we had selected, and then it runs through the installation again. So you're looking at seconds from making a modification in the package to being able to test it in the VM again. And the benefit of this, of course, adds up over time. The more you have to do this per day, the more time is saved. And as you can see, now we have our new shortcut with the new name. So this was a very brief overview over the main points of Smart Package Studio. And I hope that it's given people interest in trying it out and seeing how it can help in your packaging workflow. And I think now we will be moving on to questions that people have put forth during the presentation. I will give the microphone back to Ronnie.
Magnus, we have a couple of questions. One is if you could show how to create the MSIX packages and perhaps also Intune Win packages?
Yep, I will be happy to do that. I will just share my screen again here.
For all of you who are joining, please just, if you have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll bring them up here.
So if we go to our little eyes project that we created earlier, then we have the releases tab here. Now it's pretty self-explanatory. We have our output as an MSI package. We can select we want to have an MSIX package. We can select we want to have an Intune Win package. If we compile these, we'll get a warning because we have not selected a certificate, and MSIX packages generally require to be signed, but for now we'll just ignore that. We go through the process here. And now in the project folder, we have our MSI, we have our MSIX, and we have our Intune Win. So this is how simple it is to create these different types of packages from a project in Smart Package Studio.
We also have another question from Christos, who asks, is it possible to add script files such as if the application needs to connect to a server after it has been installed?
Well, script files, you have a few different options. We have, of course, the possibility to create custom actions where you can integrate a script into the package. Though typically, depending on what kind of scripting you want to do, we will recommend that you do it in an external script file that then installs your MSI and then performs any necessary steps afterwards. This kind of depends on the what kind of deployment system you have set up generally. One script we can recommend people to use for software deployment is called PS App Deploy Toolkit, which is a free PowerShell script toolkit for installing packages.
I don't have any more questions in the chat, so I think we'll manage to keep it to half an hour as promised.
If you would like to try Smart Package Studio for yourself, you can go to our website and download a free trial. If you would like to buy the product, you can send me an email. You can see the mail on the screen or on my LinkedIn account. If you let me know that you joined our webinar, I will give you a discount on 30%. So let me know. This offer will only be valid until the end of October. I think that was all for today. Thank you so much for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
There's a new bird in town that's about to change the world of software packaging, and it's ready to solve your challenges. It's smart. It's fast. It's intelligent. It's time-saving. Smart Package Studio is smart because we know the world of software packaging from the inside. Fast because you save up to 40% time on software packaging. Intelligent because it uses machine learning to create the best solutions. Time-saving because we are stronger together. Download your trial today